Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Fanning and I am here to help you with citations, particularly for APA, but this will kind of work for other ones, what I'm going to show you what to use. So it will work for other ones, but it's going to be primarily APA, and along with that, not just showing you how to do the citations, but showing you how to do the title page and the expectations for that. So, I don't want to take too long on this intro, but it's so important to cite your work, and it's really been made easy nowadays with these citation generators. And it's important to know that you shouldn't just be citing when you take quotes, but also when you're paraphrasing. And a lot of what you do in college when you're writing papers is going to be paraphrasing. I think about it like this. Say you are learning about the Egyptians, right? Maybe you're taking an art class and you have to reference and write an article on the Book of the Dead, show a picture, what have you, right? Well, if you know nothing about the Book of the Dead, you read this very wonderful article by Mr. Mark here, and you learn something, and you don't directly quote it, but say you talk about the field of reeds or anything you learned about here. Well, you're paraphrasing his work, right? Because you learned it from there, and you're just putting it into your own words. You're taking his idea, putting it into your own words. That is a paraphrasing. Even if you're taking a quote, right, and putting it in your own words, you're still paraphrasing. So those still need to be cited, and they are cited just like quotes, but without the quotation marks, and of course you use your own words. So without further ado, I am going to get into it here, but I just wanted to start because sometimes I feel like something that's missed, especially if you've been out of school for a long time, or if you just never learned it for whatever reason. I think a lot of people miss that paraphrasing part, and that can also count as plagiarism academically. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Now there's multiple different ones. I actually was taught to use the citation machine. Personally, in 2022, I feel like that is outdated. I know it's been bought by Chegg now. I don't feel like they've made proper updates to it. I just don't think it has I don't think it has a user-friendly interface. So I am not sponsored by them, but I do use Scribbr, and Scribbr is actually fantastic. It's what I use for all of my citation work. You can see here that it's the APA 7th edition. Just make sure it's a quick Google search. Make sure whatever one you do end up using, especially if you save it to your book bar like I do here, that it is the most updated edition, right? Because they're always updating. Not always, but every 1 or 2 years you'll get a new update. So you want to make sure you're using the latest editions. Same with MLA is on its 9th now. I think when I learned MLA, it was on its 6th, or 7th probably. So just something to know. But that's a wonderful thing to know, is that this is what I'm saying when it works with all different citation types. This is what I mean. If you want to just use the MLA version, you can go to the MLA version. I always use the most recent edition, although it might not be what you're familiar with and what you learned. It is going to provide the most updated rules, right? So that's really important to know. It also, I believe, just know that you'll have to update this. I believe MLA uses works cited, and that's my first thing, is it is called references when you're using APA. So that's one thing you need to know. In APA format, it is references, not works cited. Okay, so, and I think that might honestly automatically update if you don't change it from there. If you just go to MLA in the first place, it might just have it. But just to show you, and just so you know, which will come up in the practice paper I put in here. So it's really, really simple. And here is the URL if you want. But just know too that you can Google Scribbr and it should come up just fine for you. But it has a lot of the generic types here. These are the ones you're going to generically use, but just know too, artwork needs to be cited. In most circumstances, you can probably cite it other ways, but definitely professional academic papers, you're going to want to cite them properly. Here's one a lot of people don't know that I like to point out. Presentation slides, class lectures would fall under this. You do need to cite those if you're referencing your professor's lecture slides, okay? So that's definitely something to note that I like to point out. I wouldn't use this, and a lot of teachers do not want to see Wikipedia and will immediately dock you. Please know that you can learn things from Wikipedia. They're actually pretty stringently monitored editorial-wise. So they're not as hoogie-boogie as they once were. But if you go down to the citations of the actual Wikipedia page, a lot of the times when you're reading something, it's going to have a little number at the end. If you click on that number, it's going to bring you to the citation Wikipedia actually got it from, and you can use that citation for your paper, right? So I don't actually ever use Wikipedia. I've just gotten used to not using it since I was in school, but I was actually told by one of my English teachers that is completely fair game to do. So I just avoid Wikipedia like the plague because I've been taught to do that. But I think as newer, more modern teachers come in, they're understanding that. So that is just a little bit of a note for you. But I'm going to go back to where we were. So this is what you're going to see, okay? So I'm going to just say I am going to take this web page and cite it, okay? So this one is really user-friendly. Of course, I did find one that was user-friendly and had all the information just so I could show you everything. But know that not everything and a lot in I don't want to say most websites, but a lot of websites won't have all the information. Now, that is kind of where you have to use your good judgment on if it's credible or not, because again, when I was being taught it, I was really told if it didn't have all the information, like the less information it has for your site, the less credible I was taught it is. But I think that's also been moved away from since I've been in high school. So keep that in mind, use your best judgment, but at the end of the day, cite no matter what. So all you have to do is copy and paste this URL. So you can do that by right-clicking and copying, of course, as most people know how to do, or you can use the keyboard shortcut on your bottom left. You're going to see the control button, and then your C key, you can press control first and then C, and that's actually going to copy it. And then you can press control and then the letter V, and that'll paste it. So instead of right-clicking, that is a faster way to do it if you're not aware. And then all you're going to do is press cite. You can add things manually. I like to do this for books. I don't feel like these citation generators do as good of a job for books, but for web pages, especially videos like crash course videos, they are almost exactly right. So I always double check them, and it's going to pop up here. And there you go. That is just how easy it is to cite nowadays. Now, this is a very friendly citation because, again, it clearly has all this information. Always, always, always go and edit it and just double check, right? Because what I found is this new thing they have is it does have the contributor or author hidden there. But sometimes what I found is that for websites that don't have an author and it can't find one, it leaves it blank. What I've found is that, and what I've kind of had response to, is that you should still put like the author there. Or like not the author, but the organization as the author, right? So the CDC, for example, oftentimes you'll cite that for some statistics in like a paper, right? Well, the CDC usually doesn't have an author per se, but the organization would count as the author, and that's all you have to do is change that to organization and put, Center for Disease Control, okay? And then if you update it, it'll pull up there and you'd cite it just like the author's name. So that's a little tidbit. Don't leave that blank if at all possible. I don't actually think you can leave that blank. I mean, I don't mean like you can't, but I mean like I don't see a way in which you wouldn't, you know. So anyways, the things you're going to want to match up here are the title. So the title's often going to be found in this area of the page, and the title of the website's often going to be up here. So there you go. So this is the title of the web page. This is the title of the article. So make sure you're not interchanging those, because I see that can be a common error for a lot of people. You want the title of the web page or the article you're referencing. So I'm referencing Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's what I'm going to put in the title. Now the website name is the World History Encyclopedia. So you're going to put that there. Now the contributor is JJ, okay, and where I'm getting that is Joshua J. So if they list their middle initial, you want to put their middle initial in there. If they don't list their middle initial, you can leave it with just their first initial. Okay? So since he has both, we're going to do both. And then his last name is actually Mark, so Mark. Then you're going to find the publication date, and it's 3/24/2016. So this was actually wrong. See, this was a perfect example on why you always need to double check, right? So while the citation really does give you like the flat out basis, and like I said, the crash course videos I've referenced have actually just been always right, but I always double check because of stuff like this. So it had it as November. It is actually March, and it's not 17th. It's 24th. So for some reason it automated in today's date, and that could just be because, and this is where I'm getting a little off track, but there's IT stuff that happens in the back end that could be updating it every day, that it's pulling it from somewhere in the IT back end in some coding somewhere, and where I could be getting that messed up. So that's why that could happen. Now, I, at the very least, always put all of the required information. See, it's, well, not, this is required, but always put in the recommended information if you can, even if it's, you know, what you can do is, if you can only find the year, that's fine. Just put the year in, right? If you can't find the month and day, just put in the year. If you can only find the month and the year, then just put in that information. There is an option up here to put in no day, so you can do that too, because that's a lot of the things people don't know too. Don't leave it, like, any information you can put in there, okay? Even if you can't find the month and the day, put the year, right? So and then the access day, which you can set to today, or you can change it to whatever day you got it. And if you are writing a big paper, try to at least keep track of this somewhat, because if you're writing a 7-page paper, you know, they shouldn't be all set to the day you submitted it, right? So, you know, you should keep track of it, of course, but at the end of the day, I use my best guess usually. So you can probably keep track of it. But that's all there is to it. And then you put the URL in. If you have it automatically cited, it'll just pull it. Otherwise, you just paste it in there. You know, update your source, and there you go. And it even gives you the in-text citation, and it gives you it both ways. So this is the in-text citation you put at the end of your paper. So this will go at the end of your paper. Well, not at the end of your paper, at the, my apologies, at the end of your sentence. So you're going to say, according to new research, the Book of the Dead was found in 1947. I just made that up, right? But at the end of that, you're going to put parentheses Mark 2016. And I will show you this in the actual paper I'm going to quote-unquote practice. Okay? Or you can say, in research from Mark in Egyptian Book of the Dead, or in research from Mark 2016, excuse me, I'm going to get into this more, but basically what I'm trying to say is, in research from Mark 2016, XYZ happened, right? Okay, that's just what I'm trying to say. So I'll show you those because they're kind of hard to explain when you don't have more words there, but you can kind of see how it works. So it not only does it make the in-text citations for you, it even makes the whole citation for you, and it keeps them in here. Something to remember, your reference lists have to go alphabetized, okay? So if you have an A, it should go first, B should go second, C should go third. If you get two M's like this, you go to the second letter. So MA comes before MI. So those are things to remember. Now this is a book, and I just want to show you that real quick because these are going to probably be the 3 most used journal articles if you're taking like second level classes or third level classes probably, but by then you'll probably know how to cite things, so I think you're going to be okay. But so this is a book, so it's called Theatrical Worlds. Now I did have a subtitle on it because it was the beta version of it, so it was kind of a subtitle. It wasn't part of the full title, but it was still on the title page, and that's required. The container title, I personally am not worrying about at this time. I have not run into that, and so I just skip it. And of course, then you have the authors. Now, usually for books, you have multiple authors. But again, you can only do what you referenced. So, or what's there. Like, you can't do more than what you can find. So I looked online. I looked in the book. And really, you should only be referencing your book for it. But I try to do a little bit more. But anyways, I found C. Mitchell. It does say he's an editor. So I changed the thing here. And that's why you saw ED in parentheses. If you can find the edition, the volume number, put it in. Some just aren't going to have that information. I always try to put in as much information as you can, but it is not recommended information. Now the medium. The medium is where the medium you're using. So if it's a print book, if it's a digital book, I think sometimes they're called ebooks. There's sometimes they can put it there, but I just use digital because to me that's the same thing. Now it does say Kindle or audiobook and stuff like that, but I personally have not heard that you need to go that in depth with it. Like the medium is just if you have a print copy or a digital copy. So that's what I'm going with. Again, haven't heard anything about it. So I think it's going to be just fine. Now the publication date, I couldn't find the day and the month, so I just went with the year, so 2014. Circa if it's a really old book. So if we're talking like the Poetics by Aristotle, you're going to click circa. So and then the publisher was the University Press of Florida, and then you can use a DOI, but these I think are usually for like journal articles or journals, so that's where you'd put that. And then, but at the end of the day, at least just have a URL. So I am just going to show you real quick where I found this information, just so you can kind of see it on the actual in the actual book, because I think that's most useful. So there you go. You see Theatrical Worlds, the title, beta version, the subtitle. Excuse me. And that says edited by Charlie Mitchell. So that's where that C. Mitchell came in with the editor. Didn't have an author's name listed. So, and now you see a lot of things here. Again, use your best judgment. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes who the exact publisher is. Usually they're the first couple pages. Will tell you. So I'm seeing this, and this is basically where I pulled the information. Usually it's by who copyrighted it is kind of what I go off of, because again, you don't have tons of information here, right? So you know, you got the ISBN, you got this. You're not seeing exact. So I used the copyright year, and I used University Press of Florida. So, and again, you're really just trying to, at the end of the day, it should be clear enough where you got your information from. It might not always be perfect, because for as much as people want to cite, they have trouble giving that information sometimes. You know, it's like a lot of times there's a date missing, or years are missing, or they're not clear. So just do the best you can, and you're probably going to be okay. So again, it gives you the in-text citation and the actual citation down here. Note that there is a space in here. They need to have a hanging indent is what this is called, when you're actually putting them in your paper. So you don't want to just copy and paste and it's back to back. And you'll see what I mean when I do it. It's going to look really odd. So really what you're looking for is the author's name or the organization's name who made the article if you can't find an author. The date the article was made. Note that you can use the most updated date. So the date it was updated. So say it was made March 24th, 2016, but at the bottom of the page it says date updated April 14th, 2018. You would want to use that most recent date, or you could. You just got to know it was the article they're talking about, not the entire website. Then you're going to do the title of the work you're citing, and then the publisher or the web page. So the web page title. So for books, it's usually going to be the publisher, that university press. For web pages, it's going to be more of the top left of the name of the web page here. I've also found that if you're not sure, you can also come down here, and at the bottom of the page, you should be able to find it, because sometimes it's really hard to tell on some websites. But I like this because it really helps you. And as you can see, we match that exactly, right? So this isn't italicized, and this is what I'm saying, like, this might be an old APA style. Note, this is from 2016. That's why I don't recommend when it has sites like this to use them unless they're very new, because this is obviously an old APA style, because this shouldn't be italicized. This should be italicized. So just know that. But as you can see, moreover, it does look about the same, right? So we know we're on the right track. And also, if you can't find the author's name or the date it was made on the top, always check the bottom of the article. Sometimes it'll have the date. Sometimes it'll tell you the date it was updated, and you can use that, because sometimes it doesn't have the date, the original date at the top, but sometimes it'll have it have the updated date at the bottom. And as you can see here, this one actually does also show you the author's name at the bottom. So this is sometimes what it'll look like. Sometimes it's harder to find. Sometimes it's in smaller word. Just depends on the user friendliness of the website. Obviously, I use this one because it is super user friendly. And if you want more challenging citations, or if you have a question, you can leave a comment in the comment below, and I will definitely look at it and try to help you the best I can. Alright, so now we're going to get in how to actually start and what is expected of an APA styled paper. So you're going to do Times New Roman, font size 12, and you're going to want to make sure it is double spaced. So those are the basic key components for pretty much, I think, all around papers, no matter what the citation system you're using is. But for APA, they actually use a title page. So this took me a while to figure out, but it's really simple. So I don't think there's a hard amount of spaces you need to use. There might be, and you can check the rules on that. But basically what I do is I do about 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to put it about mid-page. That's where you want it to be. You're going to want to center it. And then your title is going to be bolded. So make sure you bold it. Now, this is going to vary. Your title is going to vary depending on the paper you're doing. If you're writing like English, like for an English class, for an argumentative paper, an argumentative research paper, you're going to want like a title that hooks somebody in, okay? So like, for example, I wrote an argumentative research paper for my English class as a proponent for Americans changing over from a privatized system to a public system for healthcare. So my, and that's also known as universal healthcare. So my hook, or my title then, was Americans are dying for universal healthcare. So that's a great example of a title to use as both a title for your work, but what it does is what you want it to do is you want it to intrigue somebody, but you also want to give a little bit of a dusting about what your paper is about. So this is a perfect way, I feel like, for both of those things, right? So it's going to hook somebody in and be like, what? You know, but it's also going to give them about like, okay, this paper is obviously about Americans and obviously about universal healthcare. So you know, some people do die because they don't get the healthcare they need, so it's not ultimately false either. So, you know, that's obviously getting away from it, but, you know, it is true. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, that's for a more complicated, more higher level paper. At first, you might be just doing regular assignments, and I say when in doubt, obviously ask your professor, but also I found just using the assignment number you're on and the name of the assignment works just fine. in my thing. So usually it's not going to be overly complicated to make. I just wanted to give you an example of a harder level one. So, you know, you can do assignment 2, the Greeks. So it's the second assignment of my class, and the name of the assignment is the Greeks. Okay, so that's just going to vary from class to class. It might be assignment 2, bullet point assignment or something like that. Now, that probably wouldn't be done in an APA styled Word, but you never know. So we'll just stick with what we had. And then we got our title. So now that we got our title, we're going to space once, space again, and you're going to put your name. I'm just going to do a placeholder. Alex Smith. Now this isn't going to be bolded, so make sure it's not bolded. So Alex J. Smith. Then you're going to enter. So you're going to have your name, Alex J. Smith, and then you're going to want to put the department you're doing this paper for and the college you're in. And so that might sound hard, but it's really easy. If you're writing an English paper, you're going to put Department of English. If you're writing a psychology paper, you're going to put Department of Psychology. If you are writing a science paper, you're going to put Department of Science. So we'll just say this is a history paper because we're talking about the Greeks. So we're going to put Department of History, comma, and then the college we're going to. And we will just say University of California. Then you're going to press enter again. And you're going to put the course number you're in and the section you're in. Now that might seem hard to find, but you can really just, if you have an online system, you're going to be able to just see it in Canvas. If you go to your courses, you click on courses, you should be able to find that and your section number. And it's going to look something like this. HIS for history, 104, that's the class you're taking, and then the section you're in. So that might look like 1001, whatever your college uses, it's going to change based off that. I'm just using what my college uses, okay? So it's going to, and this should be, like I said, really easy to find, especially in an online system. It's just your course number, underscore, your section number. And then you're going to use the 2 dots there, and you are going to put the name of the course. So we're going to put World Civilization 1. And that's just the name of the course I'm taking. And then you're going to put your professor's name. So you're going to enter and put Professor Smith. I usually put more information rather than less, so I'd probably put Professor, we'll say Jones Johnson. So I'm not repeating Smith here. So Professor Jones Johnson is our professor. So we'll put that in. Obviously, if your professor has a PhD or likes to be called doctor or something like that, not professor, just go ahead and use whatever title they prefer. When in doubt, use professor, their name. Okay? If they don't like it, that is something they should be telling you ahead of time. Okay? And then next you're going to put the date it's due, not the date that you're starting it, not the day you submit it. It's going to be the day the assignment is due. So we will say November 20th, 2022. And I like this because then you don't have to worry about, oh, should I put it a day behind? Should I put it for the day I started it? Should I put it for the day I submit it? It's just the day it is due. Okay? And you're going to see that's about halfway from the bottom, halfway from the top of the paper. So this is perfect. So to recap, you have the title of your essay. You have the author's name, which should be your name. You have the department you're doing it for. At the college you're doing it for, you're going to have the course number underscored with the section number, the name of your course, the professor's name, and the date it's due on this title page. That is everything. It's very simple. What you want to make sure you do, though, and now is a good time to do it, I honestly do it when I start the paper, so you don't forget, is to put in the page number. And you can just follow along what I did there. It's going to show which way. It should be going in the top right corner. And you want to make sure, and this is something people forget, make sure you're formatting this correctly. It shouldn't be calibrate, it should be Times New Roman 12. Many teachers may not care, but if you're in English, they're definitely going to dock you if that's wrong. So then you can click out of that. And as you can see, well, I guess I'm not on the second page, but let me get to a second page and you'll be able to see. But so there's that number, and now it's nice to do it that way because you know it's exactly where it should be compared to the margin, and it's going to automatically put page numbers in as you go. So now we're going to go to page 2. So you're going to press enter, then you're going to insert. It's called a page break, and that's going to give you your new page. And as you can see, the number starts right off to number 2. So once you do it, you don't have to forget it. You don't have to worry about being docked on it, okay? So then what you do, and this is part of the APA still, is you're going to copy that title. You're going to go to the top of the page here. Make sure you're centered and just paste this. Make sure it comes out bolded, and that is the end. Now, a lot of, I think, professors don't really care if this is up here, but I guess the college I go to is kind of lax on it, but this is technically the proper thing you're supposed to do. So I always do it because why chance it, right? So then you're going to want to correct your alignment back to the left. Make sure your bold's off. Make sure you're still, this is a good time to just, before you start your essay, make sure you're on Times New Roman, font size 12. Make sure you're still double spaced. And then you're going to want to press tab to indent. Make sure you indent your paragraphs, and then you can just start writing. And that's all there is to it. Lorem ipsum, I don't know how that thing goes, but you know, they got the thing they fill in here when they do it. And that is all there is to the beginning of the title page. Now you can go through and you can do all this. Oh, and what I was going to show you too is the in-text citation. So I will do that as well real quick. So we're going to say there's 2 types of way to do it, and I'm just going to make something up here. This is not going to be factual at all. So we'll just say statistics show that 1 in 8 women go to the doctor yearly. Okay? So a good way to know that I have to cite this, even though I didn't use direct quotations, is that obviously I got these numbers from somewhere, right? Obviously I got this information from somewhere. I could not have just known that from the top of my head. And that's honestly what I use. Moreover, again, use good judgment, but that's ultimately what I use when I go to be like, should I cite this? Is this properly cited? Just think about it. Was there any way, if you hadn't read that article or read that statistic, that you would know this information? If not, cite, right? Because sometimes it gets hard, right? Like, for example, the first president of the United States was George Washington. That is common knowledge. You don't need to look that up. You don't need to cite it, right? So this is a perfect example of paraphrasing, but knowing when to cite, because this could have been like the percentage. Maybe the actual quote was, I don't know what 1 in 8 is percentage-wise, but, you know, 20 off the top of my head, but 25% of women, you know. And that's a good way to paraphrase too, is you use other ways of writing things, right? Of course, you can always use quotes. There's nothing wrong with that. But the in-text citation we're going to use is the one we had done. And that was Mark. So Mark 2016. So when you in-text citate, you're going to use the last name or the whole organization if it's there. So it's going to be, if this was like Center for Disease Control, you'd put Center for Disease Control 2016. But we have the author, so we can just put Mark 2016. So Mark space 2016, and periods go at the end of your in-text citation. This was really hard for me to get used to because I don't ever remember this being a thing, but that is how it goes, because just think about it in the way that you want your in-text citation to be at the end of your information. It just doesn't, I mean, looking at it now, it just doesn't seem right for this to be like looking like that. So you want it to be after that, right? Okay. So that is how you put an in-text citation at the end of your sentence. Now, if you wanted to put it in the beginning, you would go, so say, and I think this also helps make your article much more well-rounded and make a lot more sense to me. So it's good to use both, especially when you're writing a lengthy essay. Okay, a short 2 to 3 page paper, you're probably going to be okay, unless maybe it's like a science class, to just use, you know, the end of in-text citations. But if you're doing a long research paper, you know, it's good to not just have in-text citations, but you're going to want to also say, to do it other ways. So this is another way to properly in-text citate something. So you're going to put in new research. Again, you can use whatever opening you want. It does not have to be in new research. It can be in an article from Mark 2016 in the journal by Mark 2016. You know what I'm saying? This is just for an example. So in new research from Mark 2016, statistics show that 1 in 8, blah, 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 right? And then you're going to end the sentence with a period like usual, okay? So I'm just going to copy and paste that real quick just to show you what that looks like. All right. So it would look like that. I also put commas here because usually that you'd put a comma after Mark, I think. So also, yeah, so that's what I would do, but that's what it should look like, right? So, and the thing is, if you want to quote, you can also quote. So I'd put, you know, you can also use quotes this way, although I find them easier to in-text citate with quotes this way. You can do it this way. You can put statistics show 25% of women, blah, 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 right? End quote. All right, so those are the two ways you can in-text citate. Sometimes if it fits my article, I might even include like the journal name or something like that. So like in new research from Mark 2016 in Women's Monthly, you know. So that's how you could do something like that too. Just make sure you italicize the title, and you're going to know to do that if it's italicized in your reference, which you'll already know. So there's our paper, right? We got our in-text citations. We've done our 5 pages. Say now we need to go put in a reference page. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the page break again. You're going to insert a page break from when you're done. You're going to center the page and bold it. And you're going to put references, okay? And that's going to be just like you did the title up here. It's going to be at the top. You're going to center it. You're going to bold it. Even if you just have one reference, you still call it references. Just like even if you just have one work cited, you're still going to put works cited, okay? So it's not underlined or anything. It's just references. Then you're going to press enter. Go back to your left align, unbold. And this is where I like to go back to my my citation machine here. Now you can just copy these. And you can just paste them in, okay? And you're going to see that they're already nicely aligned for me, although you can do it manually from Word. These ones came just nice and aligned. So you're done. They're alphabetical. They are have a hanging indent, and you're good to go. And that's just how easy it is to sign. Now, I know this was long, but I wanted a very in-depth review because every video I found on APA Citation did not answer all of my questions. So I'd rather make an hour video and you have a strong understanding, no anxiety going in, and feel like you've covered everything thoroughly, than feel like you're walking on eggshells and getting some unapproving, disapproving comments from your professors like I did the first couple times when I did not know what I was doing wrong. So, because in all the ones I found, I couldn't find a title page and I didn't know that was a thing, so I am showing you here today. So that is how you do it. I hope this helped you. Again, just to give a quick recap here, use it to citation generator, doesn't matter which kind. Most teachers these days are happy for you to use a citation generator. They just want to see references and they want to make sure those references are correct, okay? And this is the best way to do it. So quick run through is you can even add them in manually. A lot of the times I'll do that, especially if it's a very important paper. You can do that. And then you double check them all, make sure they're correct, use them as needed, and then you're going to come to your paper and put them into your references down here. Again, make sure these follow all the same formats. You want to make sure they're double spaced, Times New Roman 12. Sometimes they paste over weird, so I just like to go over the whole thing at the end to make sure it's all. Because one thing I've also found is sometimes, and this isn't a problem as I'm doing it in Word here, but I usually use Google Drive, and sometimes the font color is different and you don't notice when you're on your own computer, but when you're actually submit it, you can say like, wow, that is a color difference. So that's why I like to just go over and make sure all the font is the same color, you know, Times New Roman 12, double spaced. I like to just go over it at the end. So then we have our title page, which is about 5 spaces down, midway through the page. You got your title, your name, the department, the college, the course and the section you're in, the name of the course, your professor's name, the date it's due, your page number. You page broke, and then you put the title back in, centered and bolded. You wrote your paper, you got your in-text citations all looking nice, all very proper. And then when you were done, you page broke again, and then you put your references in, centered and bolded, just like your title, and then you got your references in here all hanging, indented, and alphabetized. And that's all there is to it. It seems long, but that's, trust me, once you get this down, it takes you like 30 seconds to do it all. In fact, I really just copy and paste this information now and change it to the class I'm doing. So it really doesn't take that long. And honestly, the nice thing is, especially for courses, once you have done the book, right, once you cite the book in the first week of your course, you have the cite for the rest of the time. So you're not really having to redo it very much. Only the new cites you get along the way for the assignment. So that's nice. And it also encourages you to use the textbook a lot, which I think professors really like. So that's all there is to it. I hope this helped you with your APA citation and doing citations and what you need. Again, this is a very like student to student way, tips and tricks way to do it. Of course, I'm not, you know, being a rule police here, but it's really helpful, and I hope this helped you. And if it did, like and comment. I do have my Venmo in the description if you want to help me out. Even $1 helps. But by no means do you have to do that. It's just completely nice, and it helps me want to make more videos like this, as I'm also in the middle of my classes here. So I hope this helped you. This was as much as I can think of. I can't think of anything else. Like I said, sometimes you're just going to get things where, you know, I'm pretty good at hunting down information, and sometimes there's just no information to be found. You know, sometimes there's just, you can't find the date. And again, if you can't find the date, the citation machine will tell you what it'll look like, but it'll look like ND for no date. And you'd also put ND in the in-text citation then. So just to show you that. But other than that, that's pretty all-encompassing. That should get you on the right track, get you comfortable with it, and I don't think you should have any problems. If you have any questions about citing an APA format, I feel pretty comfortable with it, so feel free to comment and ask, and I will get back to you as long as I can, but it certainly doesn't hurt to ask. As of right now, I'm monitoring my YouTube comments pretty quickly, so I hope this helped you. And again, like, comment, subscribe if you want. Really helps just other people find this. Encourages me to do it, but by no means do you have to. I really just, at the end of the day, don't want you to have to struggle like I struggled for this information. So good luck on your educational career, and I hope this thoroughly helped you, and have a wonderful day and good luck.